Your DJ Six, what is
Sixsmith.
the name? Huh?
Sixsmith. Last name is Sixsmith.
Sixsmith.
Yep.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I didn't want to butcher it up, so thank you. I'm sorry.
You're good, man. No worries. You ready to do this thing?
Yes, sir.
All right, cool. Here we go. In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody, what's going on? You're watching the Sit Down of DJ Sixsmith. We got Christopher Play Martin here. You know him from BET's Bigger. He's got his brand new documentary, of course, all his great stuff in the 90s. What's up, man? How are you?
I'm good. How are you and your listeners and viewers doing this morning?
Everybody's doing great. Listen, the world's starting to open back up again. We got some great stuff to watch, including your documentary, your show. So how's everything on your end?
Everything is good, productive. You know, they say it's hard to hit a moving target, so I always keep it moving. But for me, I just need, excuse me, to have something to do. And this amusement park I call the mind of mine never lets me down. So I'm good.
Well, it's led you in the right direction in so many different points in your career. So why don't we first chat about the documentary? You got the great background going on there. How did this all come together, and what can folks expect when they check it out?
Well, over 7 years ago, I had this idea, again, the amusement park, had this idea while I was sitting down, one of the few times I had a chance to just chill and do some channel surfing, and landed on one of the music channels that I guess it must have been a marathon or just nonstop, throwback day. And I'm seeing so many familiar faces, people I know, people I haven't seen in a while, in particular dancers. And, one thing in my mind led to another. And I'm like, wow, I wonder what they're up to. Their stories must be incredible, because as I'm seeing some of the flashback music videos of them, and what the documentary is about dancers who started out in the low budget or no budget hip hop music videos that are now literally considered the classics, and how now, a lot of those dancers went on to dance for Madonna, Prince, Michael Jackson, Janet Jackson, Usher. I mean, the list goes on. And Whitney Houston. And I said, that would be an incredible documentary. And I sat on it for quite a while, being kind of intimidated by the idea, thinking, these people probably don't want to talk about what they've been through. That's personal and probably very priceless memories. Why would they want to maybe share that with the world? So when I was speaking to one who did become a featured dancer in the piece, Portia Kirkland, and I've been friends and remain friends with quite a few of them. So one thing led to another. I shared the idea, and she said, I couldn't be the furthest thing from the truth, that a lot of those dancers would love to tell their stories. And fast forward, here we are today, after 7 years.
Well, it's a really incredible journey. What surprised you the most when you started to have some of these conversations with these dancers?
How it came to be, most of them, if not all, well, most of them didn't have professional training. It was just raw talent, the thing that was happening in the streets and at the parties. And they, took it to another level in regards to making it, customizing it and tailor making it in regards to them themselves, a very incredible form of expression. But the thing that was amazing was just hearing how I could relate to really just doing what you love doing and having fun. But the key word in particular for this answer is escapism. Going to the parties, going to the block parties, hanging out with your friends, to get away from sometimes a not so feel good situation that's happening in the home or in your neighborhood. Because in that time, late 80s, early 90s, in particular the 80s, and 70s, we were dealing with the financial crisis that New York was going through. After school programs was taken away, music programs in the schools was taken away. So we found a way to deal with that in a very unorthodox way. So just to hear similar stories that I could relate to in regards to just right time, right place, what else was going on. Like I said, with the music videos at that time, hip hop, rap music was about to get a break. So now record labels were seeing maybe the value in putting visuals to it, music videos, and you wanted that to be as with a lot of eye candy as possible. It's only been so much a performer could do. And, one thing led to another, and you have these, dancers doing their thing and making it possible for a very successful music video and a very, very successful live performances. So just to hear some of the stories on how that came about was like just in awe, and also gave me confirmation that I was working on the right project.
Yeah, it must have been incredibly fascinating for you because you mentioned the context of what was happening in New York City and also just your own experience, right? I mean, what do you remember about just the pure escapism for you and just how organic music was at that time as a young kid?
Well, mine wasn't angelic, it was women, at the time, girls. Um, Before I really got into rapping, I went through the different phases, thought I could be a DJ, spent a lot of time on the dance floor. Please forgive me. My roommate, Buddy, my bull mastiff, is barking.
It's
Buddy,
my little doggy Maya is sleeping right now, so I've been
yeah.
there, man. You're good.
So, for me, I can definitely, again, relate because I did a lot of dancing before he got into the rapping, but it was about escapism. It was going to see the girl you had to crush on. I'm sure with the girls, vice versa, enjoying the music. Music always did something for me. It was like a ministry for me to hear the lyrics to a song that talked about this thing called love and I want my girl back and the great times when we were together. It was very aspiring to me to one day to experience those things. But in regards to just going to the clubs and getting good at what you didn't maybe think you were getting good at, and someone seeing you and like, you know what, hey, can you do this here? Can you do that there? So yeah. Mm.
When do you feel like things shifted for you in terms of taking what you're talking about here and just going to clubs and making it a career and really blowing things up here?
When you had opportunities, for those who felt that you were good at what you did and said, hey, why don't you come along and do this? For Kid and I, it was as simple as two brothers, the Hudlin brothers, that kept running into us at industry parties and giving us updates on this thing they wanted us to be a part of that would later be called House Party. But even before that, it's not so much what you know, it's who you know, because the people I grew up with, we were watching each other do great things. One in particular was Herbie Lovebug.
Hmm.
Herbie Lovebug was the one who was responsible for the vision of a Salt and Pepper. And Kid and I were already doing our thing. So by the time we connected with him, we were already childhood and teenage friends. By the time we connected with him again, which we never lost contact, is that he didn't have to worry about reinventing the wheel. So here's this person we know who's doing big things. He wants to expand with other groups and experimentation with music and things of that nature. But now enters the dancers because Kid and I were part of a community of dance in New York. You had Union Square, you had the Latin Quarter, you had the World, you had all these different clubs that all of us frequented with all of these dancers, and it was all about fun. So I remember, and I had this idea on when it was time for us to do a music video for Getting Funky. I was like, why don't we, do a thing where we get all our dancing friends together and everybody gets their shine, and so that they can see where Kid and I come from and people who are even better at us in what we do. So that's why it was such a joy to bring that music video to the forefront. But it was escapism. It was a ministry of sorts. It's just real good times. The 70s, all of the 80s going into the early 90s, very magical. And as everyone started becoming successful one way or the other in regards to a connection here, certain dancers knowing Johnny Kemp for this video he's getting ready to do, or EPMD or Heavy D and the Boys or Kid and Play. We wanted that element in it, and one thing led to another, and next thing you know, it's a hip hop takeover
I mean,
globally.
it's really incredible when you think about it. And whether it's those music videos or those movies, those things still mean a lot to people today here in
Yes.
2021. So what does that mean to you when we talk about it all these years later here?
It means a lot. It means what I thought about it was true. It's the golden era. It was the beginning. It was simpler, maybe simpler times for a lot of us. Um, they're just New York at that time, and I'm sure LA had its thing, in Chicago and all of that. The music that I miss now, not here to judge what's going on today. Music is a reflection of what is going on mostly in people's lives. It's art imitating life, supposed to be anyway. But back then, the music was really about something. We're coming out of R&B, going into disco, and now disco into rap and hip hop music and things of that nature. So you got a nice hybrid of spirits and musical genius and things of that nature. It was just really, really special. So it lets you know, for it to still hold its own 20, 30 years later speaks pretty much for itself. And this documentary, what I want people to experience, and from what I'm hearing, that thank you, Jesus, I've been successful with, is people enjoying that virtually or vicariously through this film. It's not even, and I don't know if you've seen it, it's not only the stories, the funny stories, the enlightening stories, inspiring stories, but the music goes hand in hand with that. It gave me the opportunity to involve music that meant a lot to me. Some of it might not be pure hip hop, but the thing about hip hop at the time, 80s going into the 90s, we counted on that music before us to be the music beds for us to rap to until we came into our own maturity wise.
I love how it all connects together. I think it's really amazing. And also just the world we live in, right? I mean, people can stream the documentary, people can see you on
Yes.
BET Plus and bigger. I mean, what's it been like jumping onto that show?
Well, I'm living my bucket list right now, for a long time, and no regrets. I mean, a house party and Kid and I's music, it's still the gift that keeps on giving. We have a boatload of requests now to return back to touring. And we're supposed to go out on another big tour right before COVID broke. So we have choices. But the thing is, my bucket list, and thank God it's not inspired by a negative doctor's report, but there was a lot of things always in the back of my head that I had to leave going on the path of Kid and Play, because I'm a self-taught artist. I draw and I like messing with in different medium formats of art and design. So this documentary was very therapeutic for me to film it, most of it, 90% of it, to travel, to getting your hands dirty, roll up your sleeves, guerrilla filmmaking, but editing as well, and creating the poster and the artwork, and things I've been doing in dribs and drabs over the year, designing stuff for Salt and Pepper and done stuff for Michael Jordan and Heavy D and the Boys and all that, and the list goes on. So for me to go into act 3 of my life, there was always this question, and people who approach me to do some solo things in acting. So hey, when Will Packard comes knocking at your door, you know, and it was like, I didn't know what kind of part it was going to be. I didn't know it was going to be as meaningful and what it is, having this recurring role on what seems to be a hit show. Congratulations to the cast and crew. And let's see, I'm also on another show called Church Folks. It's on Amazon Prime with co-star Dorian Wilson from the Parkers and his great work. So it's just, I guess what they call it, Duvall and Snoop Dogg, living my best life,
Beautifully said. Really nice to meet you. Congrats on the documentary. Love everything you're doing, and we'll chat again down the road, all right?
Thank you. And I hope everybody can check it out. It's free on Streamwaves, WAZE.com. Or you can follow me on Instagram and get the link there at _playgrounds. But I appreciate you, sir. God bless you greatly. And you, family, your friends, and all your viewers, please take care of yourself and each other.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Really appreciate it.
Cool.
Have a good one, all right?
You too. Thank you.
Bye.